Hey guys, this is Teresa back again with another dream. Now, there's been a period of time where I have not been receiving any kind of dreams. As a matter of fact, I went through a few nights of feeling like I was being attacked in my dreams by the enemy, trying to make me have dreams of things that are ungodly. And I really had to pray heavily in my waking life to ask the Lord to remove that and to put a protection around my mind while I slept, putting him in remembrance that we shall lie down and rest. And God actually did that. And then there was a period of time that I really didn't have dreams. I would wake up and knew that there was a lot of activity while I was sleeping. However, I couldn't remember anything. But just the other night, today is August 2nd, 2024. And the other night I had a dream and I woke up, and I have not had one of these particular types of dreams where it was almost like a movie playing out. And I woke up and I knew immediately I have to write this down. So I woke up around 5:36. And I knew immediately I had to press through my tiredness, and I had to write this down. So I pull out my phone and I just start typing. And when I picked up my phone, I felt immediately I should title the dream. I just knew it, like, okay, it needs to have a title. And normally, because I have a marketing background, I'm always trying to find, like, okay, the best title, and it takes me a while to decide, but I knew instantly what this dream title should be called. And it was The Lions Are Coming. That is the title of this dream that God had me write down. And I did write it down, so I might be referring to my notes. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. It was July 31st that I woke up in which I had this dream. And I'm going to recite it back to you here from memory, but I might refer back just to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. But the dream starts off where I'm aware that the time of season is deep in the fall, maybe even on the cusp of early winter. It's not torrential winter. It's not snowing or anything like that. It's a cool, crisp feeling. Even though I was not outside, I just knew that was the season in this dream. I knew it was heavy fall and it was right before winter. And the dream starts out where it was in the early evening, and the sun was still up. It was beyond the afternoon, so it was kind of early evening, maybe 4 or 5. And I knew that we were supposed to be preparing. I understood that there was a threat of lions and that we had been given time to prepare. The dream takes place where we're inside of a building, and I don't know the people that I was with. I have a family in waking life, but I don't know the people that I was with. I really believe that this dream was for me just to focus on the content at hand and not necessarily, it's a word that's corporate. It's not just a word for my household. It's a word that's corporate. And so I knew that I just need to focus on the corporate initiative in the dream that God has given me. And so I didn't know anyone else, but I didn't feel threatened by them at all. It was just like the general public. And we were in this building. The building is very similar to maybe a corporate style commercial building. It's a one-story. I don't remember seeing stairs. It was a one-story with long hallways. And there's a particular, the scene of my dream takes place in a cross T hallway, and at the end of that T, you could see out of the door. I didn't go down that far, but I knew I could look out of a window. It almost looked like a school building would look like an elementary school. They have those doors at the end of the hallway, and you have that window, and you can see out. And I could see like the trees outside. And the dream begins in that building. So just to recap so far, it's like fall, probably heading into winter. It's early evening, but the sun is still up. And I just knew that there was a threat looming. We knew there was a threat coming. The lions were going to show up at any time, but we were given a period of time to prepare. So we weren't as up in arms, but we were busy. We were busy preparing. And some people were. So I began to walk through a room in my preparation mode as I'm on my way to find supplies. And there were no supplies specific, but I was on my way to find supplies, and I walked through this room. And I remember in this particular room, it was kind of dark and it was entertainment based. There was some TV blaring. There was a bar set up. There was a bartender, and there was an Asian woman sitting at the on a high top chair at the high top counter. When I walked by, and I had someone in tandem with me and step with me, but I don't know who that person was. And we're walking through the room on a mission to gather supplies because we're about to go into a different room where we're going to end up hunkering down. So I'm out about in the hallways, and I'm passing through this room that seems like an entertainment room. It seemed like a lounge, like a bar. Again, I could hear the sound of a TV, and it was dark, nightclub-ish. I could see like the neon lights, and I saw a tall, slender bartender, and then there was an Asian woman sitting at the counter. And she's ordering a drink, and they're talking, and we catch eyes. I don't know who this person was in my waking life, but in this dream, I was able to identify her, and I knew that we had a history that maybe was not so friendly, or maybe it was, one where I could tell she didn't really care for me. And so she leans over to the bartender, and she's like stirring up drama, and the bartender looks at me to see what is this lady talking about. And I could tell instantly that this lady is spreading rumors about me. And a couple of things happened in my emotions during that time. I got agitated, and I really in my flesh wanted to go fuss her out. I really wanted to handle that situation, but I knew I couldn't do that. I knew that I needed to restrain myself so that I could be keeping myself holy. And I knew that wasn't permissible for me. And then the other thing was, I knew that I could not afford to become distracted because I was just walking through that, and I needed to get my supplies and get back into the other room, which I'm going to go into next. And so I just went through there, and then the dream flips to me being in a room. Now, this room is bright. It puts me in the mind of a room like an elementary school or high school, like a science room, those big open airy rooms, and it's really bright. And then along one of the walls is a wall length countertop that has sinks in it. And across from the sinks, across from the room, there's this huge walk-in shower. And the shower is, surrounded by glass, and it has one door into it, and you pull it open, and it has a magnetic strip. So when you close it, it's the magnetic field that keeps it shut. And the walk-in closet is big enough for several people to be in. And that is where me and other people are starting to find ourselves in with the supplies that we've gathered, and we're finding our little spot that we're going to sit. And it was known in the dream that once we go in, that this was going to be our hiding place, and we were going to hunker down, and we would be there for an undisclosed amount of time, like to hide in safety. I understood in the dream that there would be a time where it wouldn't be safe to be out in the hallways. It wouldn't be safe to be outside of that shower, and that at some point the lions are going to approach the shower, and we need to be inside because that's where safety was. I understood that about the dream, that at some point the lions were going to come into the building, and not only into the building, but they were going to come into that room that we were in. And so in this shower, people are preparing. People are, like I said, finding their little spot in the shower that they're going to sit in. They're trying to make themselves comfortable. I kind of vaguely remember maybe them having like some electronics or something to keep them occupied. I remember specifically blankets. People had warm blankets. I do remember that. Warm blankets, blankets to sit on, blankets to kind of cover up with. And I do know that in this dream, there were different races, ages, and men and women in this dream. So I remember seeing white men, white women, black women, Indian women. I saw an older white man, and he appeared to be maybe in his 60s, and I felt like he had some knowledge of like what we're facing. Like he understood how to prepare for this. I felt like he was stronger than some of us in the regard of like being prepared and being more courageous and fearless. And then there were some younger girls like in their 20s, some that were really like fashionable and, you know, trendy with the glasses and stuff like that, like real fun, what you would think of a bubbly, like 20-something-year-old. And so there was just a variation of people. Like there was almost, and I understand that God's people is many, we have many different languages, nations, and things like that. But I understood that there was different people that were going to be affected by this, and we were just making the best of the situation. And so we're trying to figure out, okay, where's everybody's going to sit? And then there was a looming conversation about, you know, should we put our should we drop this poison out? Should we line the poison around the outside of the glass of the shower, because we knew that would act like a deterrent to keep the animals, the lions away. And in my waking life, I believe that this was a decision that we tried to make. Should we get guns? Should we not get guns? Should we get this? Should we not get that? You know, and so protection, I believe it was maybe in waking life, something that had to deal with on the fence about Christians having weapons. Like, do you need them? Should you not get them? You know, and I remember it being something that we just ultimately did not decide on, so we didn't do it. And so we didn't put it out there. And then so now the time has moved along at this point. We have moved along. More people are now in this room and in this shower. And it's about time that we feel a deeper sense of the threat. We feel a deeper sense of the threat, and we know it's time to wrap it up. It's time to shut the door. It's time to come in this shower, and it's time to sit down. And so right as we were about to conclude and do that, and everybody was just going to agree to like sit down, one of the younger 20-year-old girls with some glasses, kind of curvier, long brown hair, decides, oh, I'm gonna run out and go get something. And I remember while she's kind of making her way, like, okay, I'll be back, you know, trying to go out. I remember someone saying like, oh, she needs to put that Protectant Film on or something. And I'm kind of like, well, what's that? And it's like this gloss that goes all over you, and it wasn't going to protect her if she ran into a lion, but it would buy her time and she would be able to get back to safety. And she had, before you knew, she had ran out the door. And I remember the door had not closed all the way behind her. I almost feel as if she still had a hand on the door. And then she goes, oh, and she starts running back into the room, like full speed, and immediately just a sense of pure fear just, oh, we knew the lions are in the building. The lions are in the building. And when this happened, she comes in, I remember the door shutting, and now we're like, everyone in the shower is like tensing up. Okay, it's serious now. The lions are in the building. And then we could hear, I could hear the screaming of someone. I don't know if it was a single person or if it was multiple people. I could hear the screaming of someone in the hallway who had been caught out in the hallway. And I don't know if they were, apparently they were being attacked, and it was the worst scream. It was the most terrifying scream, because we knew that it was it for them, that they were out there just aimlessly wandering in the hallways and were surprised, attacked by the lion. And so now we're just, sitting, and then this lady inside the shower acts as if she's just so whatever, and she's just gonna step outside the shower and she was gonna walk to the counter in the room to get some water, to fill up her water. Like, it was like, it's nothing gonna happen to me. She didn't walk out the room, but she walked within the room. Remember, I said there are long counters that had sinks in them, like a science room. And she filled up her water bottle and came back in. And I remember being extremely frustrated, like, how dare you, like, put people in jeopardy, for your own lack of preparation. And that was the thing, is like, you had time to prepare, and the time dwindled down very quickly. And if you didn't prepare, oh well, because you were stuck with whatever you had. And so as this lady comes back in the shower, I'm like, okay, so now I'm nervous when all this stuff is going on, from the point in which the lady decides, oh, I'm gonna go out and get one last thing, and then she comes running in because she said she saw the lions. And then from the lady stepping outside the shower to go fill up her water bottle, not caring about anybody else's safety, now I'm panicking in the shower because I've never experienced anything like this. And so other people are tense, but I believe everyone was trying to remain with some sense of calm, because we didn't want to, one, clearly make a huge scene and cause the lions to come into the room, but we just all knew, like, we had to bring ourselves into submission to be courageous. And I'm trying to figure out, did I prepare correctly? Am I sitting in the right spot? Am I positioned right? And so I get up and I go to the other part of the shower, and I'm trying to find myself a different place within the shower with my blanket, and there was someone there, and it just wasn't working out. So I was like, I just gotta go back to where I was at. And so I go back to where I was at, which I wasn't thrilled with, because it was like an arm's distance away from the door. Remember, I told you that the door was like this magnetic glass door, like to a shower. And I remember, I didn't say this part, but I remember earlier on in the dream, when we're kind of looking around and assessing, like, do we have all that we need? I was wondering, like, are we not gonna do anything with this door? Like, are we not gonna try to bunker the door down? Like, do we not have string that we can pull the door to? And so I remember kind of having that thought, like, is this enough? Did we prepare enough? Like, are we guarded against this enough? And so long story short, so now I'm like, I sit down, and I remember now that it got real. Now the situation got real, because we knew that we're just waiting. We're just waiting. We don't know what we're waiting for, other than the fact that we know the lions are there and we're hoping that they don't come in, but we're waiting. Like, we were almost assured that they would come in and they would be up at that glass looking at us. And we were so sure of it. So we're just waiting, and just like, we prepared the best that we could. And I remember thinking, man, maybe we should have set out that poison. But the last thing that happened was, when I went back to my spot and I just said, okay, this is where I'm gonna sit. In front of me, there was this Indian lady. She was maybe in her 20s, maybe early 30s. She was mature, but she was dressed kind of, like I said, fashionable. She had jeans, like kind of wide leg jeans. She had a beanie on her head, which will be significant, and I'll explain why in a minute. And she sits down Indian style in front of me, and I could tell she's nervous, just like I'm nervous. But again, she's suppressing that nervousness and wanting to maintain a sense of ease and control. And so she leans over and she picks up this book, and it looks like a Bible. It looks like a Bible. And she has this sheet of paper on top of it, as if she had already prepared, and as if she had already written down things that she was going to recite to help her keep her head above water, as if she had verses and sayings that she was going to say during the situation, and she was going to profess this. And it was as if she had written down the Psalms 91 prayer, and she was just going to say it over and over and over and repeat it over and over. And she picks it up and she puts this book in her lap. And there's a couple of things that happen at the same time. I'm looking and I'm like, okay, she got that. Let me go ahead and also say this. Let me say this. Let me say that. I want to make sure we're covering all bases, that we're saying the right words over the situation. We're praying the right prayers over the situation, that God can move. And I remember like saying, I got to join in with her, and I want to make sure that we're saying the right things. It's like in your waking life, if you're going to pray over sickness, right? You're going to find all of the scriptures that point to, where by his stripes we are healed. We shall lay our hands on the sick and they shall recover. You're going to find all those scriptures to pray over your circumstance, to breathe life into it, and to protect yourself with the word. And that's what we were doing. And so as she's doing this and she's setting the book in her lap and she's reviewing over the things she's written down, she takes her hands and she puts it on her beanie, and she's pulling her beanie down to snug it against her head out of a sense of nervousness. And she's pulling it down to pull the beanie down over her, like to make it snug. But as she does this, the beanie keeps popping above her earlobes because she has pearls in her ear, and they're huge. They're beautiful. They're huge pearl earrings in her earlobes. And so as she pulls the beanie down, the beanie pops up above the earlobe, so she can't quite get it snug. And then she tries it again. And I remember in my agitation, I'm like, once you pull this down, pull it all the way down and pull it over your earlobes. But the pearls refuse to be hidden. And it's so significant because I realized that in the Bible, the pearls represent salvation. The pearls represent God's salvation for us and how he steps in and saves us through Jesus. And so that was so significant. And so that's where the dream ended. And one thing I want to say is that in the dream, everything seemed foreign. It felt like I was in a foreign land. It felt like I was foreign, like around like a foreign circumstance. And so here is my interpretation. The lions are coming. And I believe that my interpretation is this too, is that in the Unger's Bible Dictionary, the lions can represent, it has different meanings, but it can also represent God's fierce wrath and a fierce enemy against you. And to me, in my dream, the lions represent a foreign adversary that will come upon us, America, I'm assuming. I'm not quite sure, but I would definitely be affected, and people, these American people, will be affected, because all these people, although we were different nationalities, we were a melting pot, and it appeared that, that would be something you would see in America. So it was foreign adversaries that were going to come upon us without any notice, and that there is a threat that's looming, and it's giving us time to prepare, but that the window of time is closing, and that we are to prepare naturally and just do your very best. You're to prepare naturally. You're supposed to get basic needs naturally. And you're to prepare yourself spiritually. You need to know what to pray. You need to know how to pray. You need to know how to find your peace in the middle of a circumstance when it happens through the Word of God. And to understand that God's salvation will be there with you to save you from your enemy. And I understood too that, and I'm not going to say this is the case, but it, like I said, the setting of the dream was in fall to winter, and I believe it was supported by having those fleece blankets. So I am not assigning this a time, but I'm telling you that if this is a prophetic dream and it comes to pass, we'll see. But I do believe that this is a warning, and it is a last call for you to become prepared. And the significance of the Asian woman in that entertainment room that was stirring the pot to try to get me distracted was in what I believe was a representation of China. How China seeks to distract Americans and to stir up things and distract us and keep us loaded down with entertainment, TikTok, and consuming through Temu and Alibaba, and just constantly keeping us aroused. And we don't have time for distraction. You need to get out of that. You need to go get your supplies, and you do not want to be caught out without a covering, caught unprepared, caught not hunkering down. And there will be a mixture of people where some people will know what to do. Just like the man in my dream, he knew what to do. He seemed calm, cool, and collected. He didn't seem thrilled to be in the situation, but he knew what to do. So the lions are coming. And that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say. So that's my dream. I hope that this resonates. If you are someone like me who has been praying and asking God to tell you, like, can you tell me if I'm really supposed to prepare? I'm hearing all this buzz about people preparing, get ready, get ready, get ready. But am I really supposed to prepare? And because I didn't want to be one that was a fear monger. I didn't want to be one that was just out here hoarding supplies. I wanted to hear from God clearly. And after many weeks that have passed by and I hadn't had any dreams, God gave me that dream. I hadn't had any godly dreams where God spoke to me. God gave me that dream. And I do believe that it is God's permission for us to prepare, and to prepare as best as possible. Prepare with the basic necessities. Prepare and know that other people are going to be in it with you, and some will be more experienced than you, and that God's salvation is with us. And there is an adversary that roams around like a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. And the lions are coming. So thank you so much for watching.